Warner here. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And you know, life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else. But just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else to smile. So, find a smile for yourself and be a reason for someone else to smile. That's all I got. Listen to love because it's been a minute. Peace and love.
First of all, I want to say that condolences to the family of Malcom Jamal Warner. I could only imagine the grief that they feel. And this is actually something that I've been speaking with the ancestors about the effect of grief on us. I don't think a lot of us really spend time grieving, not just physical death, but just the loss of the world we once knew, the loss of who we once thought we were, the loss of relationships, But I wanted to shed some light and some beauty around a time that is difficult for a lot of us, because as odd as it may sound, we grew up with this man and he felt like a brother to a lot of us. So I jotted this down so that I could do this without forgetting anything. But first of all, he was named after Malcolm X, and that's a civil rights leader and an activist. And that's relevant because we're coming into a time now where we're being called to be civil rights leaders and to be activists. There are things happening in the world right now that I'm not going to get into that is going to call for us to have a voice and to speak up and be accountable and know that we have the power to shift the paradigm. Jamal has Arabic origins. You could really say African origins. It means beauty or handsome. And this represents the beauty of the masculine and what the sacred masculine is coming into. Now, him having this name wasn't a coincidence, because Ahmad Jamal, he was an iconic American jazz pianist, composer, and he actually inspired people like Miles Davis, who was a phenomenal jazz musician, who also had sickle cell anemia. It's all relevant because this is about the blood. A lot of this is about the blood, our blood lineage, and what we're being called to embrace and cultivate within ourselves, and the wisdom within our blood from our ancestors. Another thing that stood out was in his last message. He said that it's a lot going on in the world and life is lifing, but there's always a reason to smile. And as he said that, he talked about his daughter giving him a flower. It was her birthday, and he was going to wear that flower. And that just showed the beauty of his heart, and that just showed the love for his daughter. And again, this is a representation of the sacred masculine. And this is what we're coming into. And I hope that you all can open your hearts and see, despite the father wounds and the trouble that we've went through and the terrible things that we have heard about and experienced on the other end of a man's hands, that a man has a very beautiful, sacred space and purpose in this world. And it's very similar to Kobe passing with his daughter, that love for their daughters, very strong, and that's significant. And I just want you all to know, I know a lot of us have been single mothers and had to raise our children alone, and it could feel like men just aren't going to ever be able to step into that space, but they are. They are. And he was a testament to that. And the other thing was that he was born August 18th, right? And so when you think about August 18th, 1970, you got 3 8s in there. So that's 888. This is a new beginning. And we're leading up to the Lionsgate portal. He was born 10 days after the Lionsgate portal, and the ones and the zeros is what creates the simulated reality. And so he literally was the embodiment of this shift in our paradigm and in our reality. His last name was Warner. And I felt like he carried the ability to be a messenger and to warn us of the chaos coming and the importance of being able to love despite the chaos, being able to be the light despite the darkness, being able to love despite the level of hate that we see in the world and will continue to see rise in the world before it starts to shift, to be recreated into balance and harmony. Another thing that stood out was that the flower that she gave him was a dandelion. Did y'all see that? It was a dandelion. And dandelions and a lot of spiritual traditions, they hold significance and they thrive in harsh conditions. They can grow through concrete. They don't need anybody else to water them. They can use what they have access to grow, and they grow like crazy, right? They push up through the cracks, right? This represents resilience, adaptability, being able to overcome adversity. They represent transformation, and it's a bright yellow flower, and yellow is the color of Oshun. She is the goddess of self-love, self-value, to love thyself. And this is a representation of rebirth. Look at the roundness of the dandelion, the beauty of it, and it feeds the bees, and honey heals, right? That comes from the bees. And so in native teachings, the dandelion, it symbolizes the eternal cycle of existence, the interconnectedness of everything. And it just reminds us that we come here for such a short time, and we're not going to be here forever. But what is going to be our legacy? And I'm pretty sure he probably had something recent where he talked about the legacy that he wanted to leave. And so this serves as encouragement and empowerment. Dandelions, I use dandelion root to purify my blood. Remember I said this is about the blood. So it's so important right now because the blood holds memory, right? To be purifying your blood and to purify your environment, purify your mind, purify your heart. Release the things that no longer give any service to you, and to be able to embrace detoxing and embrace nature. Costa Rica is a place where people go to heal, where people go to recover, where people go to rest from this so-called American dream, and it can be a lot. And for the fact that he was on vacation, he was traveling, like that holds the energy of exploration and wind and being able to surrender to the flow, to go with the flow. And, he left going back to the waters. And we are 4 days away from Sirius, Dog Star Sirius, rising to its highest point in the sky. That's our spiritual sun. And the Dogon tribe talked about us, our creation beginning with water on this planet. And we all come through the womb of a woman who has to break her water. And it was really beautiful to know that we will go back. We will all go back. We all have to go that way. And we all came in by ourselves, And this journey it doesn't end when we leave our body. Energy cannot be destroyed. It just takes on a new form. And this man embodied the sacred masculine so beautifully. And his age adds up to a 9. And this year is the year of the 9. 9 as in 9 months. As in a woman, the great mother, giving birth to a new world, a new earth, where love will be the currency. Or it will be the way that we reconnect with ourselves and each other in the way that we thrive. You think about the sun, the man represents the sun, and the dandelion was yellow. And he had an LA hat on, and we know LA is indigenous land and there's so much happening there now. But he was in Atlantis rising. A lot of us have past lives from Atlantis, and we're becoming aware of this as we're awakening. And so I just want to encourage people to know that this is not the end, and we all will go that way. But the lesson that his soul mission left us is a powerful one to not ever be forgotten.